Thank you so much for that. So if you are still getting your dinners, that's fine. That's great if we can just do so quietly, because we are going to have the lecturers to begin to come on shortly. So tonight we're talking about, well, your presenters are going to be talking about how to build a complementary relationship. These are going to be the building blocks of our family, the building blocks of who we are, of being complements, of being the male and the female, and the balance that keeps our families, that keeps us growing. So I hope that we are able to be open, that we are able to take notes, and that we understand that these lectures are not just for entertainment, that these are for transformation. We are doing here what Africans do, which is learning as much as we can, putting our skills to good use, bringing everything back to the community so that the community can grow and be healthy and to be better. And healthiness, we all know, starts in the home. Our presenters tonight, most of us are very familiar with. I'm going to start with Mama Ife, who is my Maya sister, who is a wonderful woman. Mama Ife has so many, I have them all, probably not all of them, but Mama Ife is a doula, a lactation consultant, a certified coach. She's an author. I have her book. Hold on, one moment. I go? Okay. Some of you have this. This is Mama Ife's book, Wake Up and Rise Up, Sisters, the Voice of a Black Woman. Mama Ife dedicates a great deal of her time to the women and the children of the community. She makes sure that we are good at re-Africanizing ourselves, that we are able to find ourselves, we're able to overcome the obstacles of womanhood. And there's a great deal of that in her book, which I know many of you have, but if you don't, they are available in the back. Baba Imhotep is our very first and very own urban philosopher, bringing urban philosophy to us, bringing evolution to us as Africans, here in this study and abroad, but his ability to take the information and distribute the information to us has transformed many of us and many of our families. So we have our very own urban philosopher, our facilitator of our study class, and the leader of the Pan-African Liberation Movement, which is the PLM, which is what PLM stands for. Baba Imhotep is also an author, and if you don't have his books are available. His first book is Urban Philosophy, Thought and Behavior Systems, and his second book, also available, is Urban Philosophy, Politics of Urban Struggle. And thank you so much. And their DVDs are also available. Baba Imhotep and Mama Ife have been married for 11 years. Woo. And not just any type of marriage, but married in the struggle, in the movement, from the ground up, building not only their own family, but assisting and building all of our families. And so they've had the added obstacle of being revolutionaries, and they've overcome. And they're going to be able to share that with us today, those experiences, and help us to be able to have those same experiences. They also on their second African-centered pregnancy. Everything that we've learned, all the information that we gathered in order to transform our lives, Baba Imhotep and Mama Ife have exemplified this. They have used this information in rearing their children when it comes to the vaccination, when it comes to what they eat, when it comes to what goes into their mind. They are consistent and never wavering with the ways of our ancestors. And that is very commendable, and I'm very honored to have them bring more of their information and more of what they learned to us today. So if you all could give a wonderful round of applause for Baba Imhotep, 𝐻𝐿𝐻𝐻 Fatiu,
taking care of business, you know, one of the things we do best. But before I go any further, I first want to give thanks to Netta, to the divine, the supreme being, for not only waking me up this morning and my family, my husband, my son, baby Fatiu, but for all of you coming here. And I know it was last minute, we changed locations, you know, but that didn't stop you. You still came, you're sitting before us today looking beautiful. Give yourself a round of applause. I am grateful for that. You know, every day, every morning I give thanks. I show my gratitude. Every night I give thanks. And throughout the day I give thanks. That's something we should incorporate in our lives. So I am honored to be sitting next to this man right here, my king, my comrade, you know, my mentor in the movement. And not only that, to have my name and my picture on a flyer with his, Mama Ya Baruti, and Baba Baruti. You know, these are people I read about. These are people I study. And to be sitting with them and be on the same flyer with them is an honor. And I'm humble for that. I definitely want to mention that. So I want to talk a little bit about us, my husband and I. You know, him and I met in 2005. So we met 11 and a half years ago, March 16, 2005. The purpose, and many of you know this story, some of you don't, but the purpose of him calling me, because we met over the phone, and he got my information through my cousin, and he was supposed to contact me in reference to business. My cousin was incarcerated, he was incarcerated, and that's how they met. And my cousin told me that he gave him my information because I was going to school for business administration, and he wanted him because he felt like he had the drive and the mindset and the discipline to assist me in developing my own business, and he wanted him to help me with that. However, that quickly changed from business to personal with all his doing, you know. He was very persistent, you know, so every time we talked on the phone, it wasn't just business, it was, I want to get to know you more personally. And me, I was in that stage of, I don't know, you know, ladies, we carry a lot of hurt and pain with us. We're a little afraid to go into the next relationship. So I was in between because I was going through my stage of cleansing, purging a lot of that hurt and pain, you know, purging myself, but I was still unsure. I was unsure if he was good enough for me or if I was good enough for him. You know, he even encouraged me to write poetry, and I wrote a poem called Is He the One? You know, saying that I was unsure, and at the very end of the poem that I wrote for him, I said, I will only know if he's the one if I give it a chance. A lot of times we're a little shaky and we never want to pursue it and find out for sure. So I decided to do that, you know, and him and I have been rocking and rolling ever since. We had our struggles, we had our bumps along the way. We're not implying that our relationship is perfect and we have all the answers. But just in our years of being together, we acquired some wisdom, you know, just having our hindsight, having our foresight and our insight, and we just wanted to convey that wisdom with you all. Stuff that we incorporated, stuff that we done. And I allowed Spirit to guide me in our relationship. So it's not like I was studying about the culture prior to meeting him. I was just beginning on this path of studying myself. So that was really like expedited and got deeper once I met him. So by me studying and him studying, and really listen to Spirit, we decided to go through a process to really get to know each other and take it slow. We wasn't in a rush. Even though he was pushing up on me, you know, we didn't move too fast. You know, I got emphasized that he was pushing up, you know, but we didn't move too fast. We still took it very slow, and we allowed that time to really get to know each other. Again, it's hard. It's not easy to stay together. You know, that's not an easy journey. It's called the struggle. You know, you're struggling to maintain a healthy relationship. Even at our 5-year point, I was convinced that I'm done. I'm out of this. You know, I went to somebody that I respected in the community at the time, somebody that I looked up to, somebody that I considered to be an elder. And I went to him and I expressed what I was feeling. I said, I'm leaving, because we got in a disagreement. And him and I always open our doors to people. So it was other people staying in the house with us. They got involved in that disagreement, and it became an argument. And I felt like it was the house against me. Everybody, he said, you need to stop, you need to start. You know, so it became a big argument. And I said, you know what, I'm done. They need to mind their business and stay out of a relationship. And it is a community thing, but some things you gotta exercise discernment. You gotta know when it's the right time to involve yourself. But you know, everybody got involved, and him and I, we had our disagreement. I said, I'm done, I'm leaving him, it's over, you know, but I still want to be in PLM because I love PLM and I love what we're doing for the community. And the elder, he convinced me to stay in it, and we still here. Still here. topic of today, how to build a complementary relationship. We chose this topic because we felt like we need to know it. You know, a lot of us don't have a clue. Just from our work in the struggle and our assistance with helping other couples that come into ACT study class, African Awareness and Critical Thinking study class, and those that's in PLM, we counsel these people. We help people get into relationships. And we see that everybody is moving so fast. We on this microwave thing. We want everything to happen right here, right now, the way we want it to happen. And we decided to walk with people through that. And we felt like we should share that information with everybody. So that's why we chose this topic.
And in addition to what Mama Ife laid out, it's very important to understand that when we speak about complementary relationship, we primarily talk about relationship between an African man and an African woman. That's our primary focus. We're not speaking in terms of any other type of relationship. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that to offend anybody if you are in any other type of relationship. But it makes no sense for me as an African man to not make that statement up front so everyone can be clear, because clarity is very important. So that's another reason why we felt it was a need for us to do this topic, because our 11 years have allowed us to learn some things about building a relationship and understanding why you should build a relationship. So those of us who attend different types of organizations, different groups and things of that nature, we talk about sovereignty, we talk about liberation, we talk about freeing our people, we talk about all these fancy terminologies, but none of that can happen if you do not have the fundamental building block to what a nation is, and that's a family. And you can't have a family if you can't have a great relationship. And so we felt like it was a need to bring forth this topic to lay down some of the things that we learned from being in this struggle for 11 years. So when we get inside our little, it's not really a PowerPoint, it's just different slides we'll put up. They got some information on it and we're going to expound on it. But each of those slides reflects something that we learned from actually being in a relationship. So this information is not coming from what we think, believe, or what we have read. We're going to tell you what we have demonstrated and how we have took our own personal experience and turned it into something practical to give to you. So that's what you'll get tonight. That make any sense? All right, so let's start our little journey. So the first thing we wanted to do is put up here on the board, you know, what we think would be a great definition of a complementary relationship. So it says the quality or state of enjoying an ongoing, see the word? Say ongoing. Historically grounded, culturally rooted, socio-politically oriented, and economically stable experience that is emotionally enriching, spiritually nurturing, and psychologically wholesome with a partner that completes you. So that's what we're talking about. So if you don't have that, it's not complementary. You could be in a relationship, but it doesn't mean it's complementary. And we need to move towards that which is completing us, because men and women are born, are created, are designed to be in a union. That's why we are here. A man is not here to be with a man. A woman is not here to be with a woman. A man is not here to be with a child. A woman is not here to be with a child. And you're not here to be by yourself. And even though we get upset at each other, we get mad at each other, we say, I want to be by myself, so on and so forth, that's because we don't understand things about ourselves. So our ignorance is what keeps us from being able to come together. So you have to be in the mindset of trying to move towards that which is complementary. All of us, even those of us who are not in a relationship at the moment, we have to move to that place. We have to get there. Does that make any sense? All right, so this is what I want to talk about first. It's selection. It's very important. It's very crucial. And I think most of us, at some point in our life, even today, many of us make that fatal mistake of selecting wrong. So yes, Ife told the story of how I was the primary person pushing and pursuing her. And that's because I spent 14 years in prison, and while I was in prison, I did a lot of soul searching. I did a lot of studying. I didn't waste my time on shooting a basketball, playing tabletops, chasing prison guards. I didn't spend my time doing that. I spent my time in prison revamping myself, reinventing me. So when I came back into this society in 2004, I was clear. When it came to who I was as an African man, I was clear as to what I needed to do, how to do it, when I was going to do it, all of that. And so it didn't take me long to be able to hear and listen to my spirit and know that I had met someone who can complete me. Didn't take me long to do that. I knew that. My selection was okay. So once we began to communicate, I'm not speaking about the person. I'm speaking about, you know what I'm saying, me and knowing that was that. You know what I'm saying? Bear with me, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, she's excellent. She's beyond all of that as a person, right? But I'm saying I just knew I had made the correct selection. That's the point I was saying, right? I knew I made the correct selection with Ife, because you have to be in tune with yourself. You got to have a knowledge of yourself, and you can't get a knowledge. African people cannot get a knowledge of themselves ignorant of their culture and your history. So when you don't have that, you don't know who you are, because your true identity is discovered within your culture, and you have to travel through your history to find your culture. And if you're not doing that, if you're not raised that way, if you're not reared that way, you're going to always miss the mark. And most of us have missed the mark. Before meeting her, I had missed the mark several times because I didn't have the knowledge. So when I spoke to her on the telephone and we communicated, I said certain things, she said certain things, I laid down that night and I was like, wow, man, you know, I think I felt her. Don't know what she looked like, wasn't even concerned. So I'm looking for that inner stuff, right? So I spoke to my comrades, who at that time was my only little family and community, 2 individuals. And I ran it by them and let them know what just occurred. They laughed at me. You know what I'm saying? Man, you insane, man. What you talking about? You know what I'm saying? That's that 14 years getting the best of you, right? So I said, okay, all right, man. So I knew I had to just go ahead and just put them to the side and just go on what I knew and what I felt, right? And so that's what happened. You know, I built on that, talked to her, we met, we continued to communicate, and from that we was able to keep on moving and to proceed. So when I say selection, what I mean is this. I say choosing a partner with the assistance of the community. See, far too often we have been conditioned in this society to think that everything has to be individualized. That's our mistake as a people. That's the mistake. That's the reason. That's how women can end up in a situation with a man beating her because she's hiding her relationship from her community. See, when these dudes out here know that you got several men that'll put their foot in his behind, he won't do it. When they know you got some real thugs, you see what I'm saying, from the streets, that'll stick them butts in the dirt if necessary, they won't put their hands on you. So that's the reason why you gotta stop hiding, you know what I'm saying, that relationship, and let that dude know that you're plugged into some men that'll tear his whole head off. And that's the truth. Because that's where I'm at with it. When it comes down to that woman, my daughters and sisters and things like that, I believe in putting my hands on a dude that's violating her. When we know that's taking place, but you can't hide him. You can't hide him by trying to hide the relationship. So the relationship has to be something that you're building in conjunction with a community of men and women that's sound. I'm not talking about these folks out here who have it in their mind. I'm talking about some sound men and women. So you have to build in conjunction with them. So when you select, you run that individual through them. If it's a female selecting the dude, then you run him through the men. If it's a male selecting the female, you run her through the women in that community. So we can sniff out who and what she is or who he is. So we can figure this out and nip it in the bud. Your selection has to be right at the very beginning if anything is going to take place after that. If any profound and successful building is to commence, it has to be a proper selection. And you have to be exercising a certain mindset. It has to be compatibility. So you can't be out here brothers. You can't be out here chasing booty. Those days has to be over with. You just can't be here. She got the little tight revealing clothes on and you behind her, your nose flat, and boom, you gone. You see what I'm saying? Just like the German Shepherd. That's how you behaving. Can't be like that. And sisters, you can't be coming outside half naked, chasing somebody, because you're going to get a fool and you're going to get a clown. That's what you're going to get. If you use your body to get him, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get someone that's thinking with his body. So don't go out to Melba's, don't go out to Corinthians, don't go out to the club and think you're going to get you a king. And don't go there and think you're going to get a queen, brothers. Select well, but don't solely rely upon your insight to make that selection. Utilize strong, sound, responsible, and culturally grounded people. You will hear that terminology a lot tonight. Culturally grounded. I'm going to tell you why I say that. All other races of people build on the basis of their culture. That's what they build on the basis of. When you look at the Chinese are trying to come together with another Chinese, primarily. And you always have those people who step outside the race. You always have that minority. But the majority of most races want to be with their own because it preserves the integrity of the race. Because you shouldn't want to bring a child to a world that's going to make it difficult for that child to grow up. And you know the world you live in. You know you're living in the USA. It's racist to the core. It's racist to the core. So you can't go to bed tonight or wake up tomorrow and think you're living in some race-neutral society and you're going to lay down with a white woman and bring some half-child here and think it's going to be easy for that child. You want to complicate that child's life. And that is the truth. The child trying to figure out standing in two worlds, who to choose, mommy or daddy, how to identify, am I white, am I black? Why create that? When the duty of parents is to bring children to safe environments. Safe environments. Because only in a safe environment can you truly evolve and develop. You can't evolve and develop well in a bunch of chaos and confusion. And most children of biracial parents and things like that, this parent and that parent, most of them live a life of confusion for a long time until they develop the courage to just say, this is what I'm going to choose. So select well. Select from amongst your own race. That's got to be a part of your selection. So that's why I say cultural compatibility. Most of us may not have any real cultural grounding. We may not necessarily know who we are. We may not necessarily know, that we are African people. We may not necessarily understand how we did things as African people. That's okay. That's okay. But seek an African that look like you and then link that up with some profound individuals who have that. Case in point, PLM, it's an organization that we pride ourselves on studying and understanding our history and our culture. So if you're trying to really be linked up and understand what that's all about, and then you should be able to link yourself into us, and then you will be a part of a process of men and women that can help you screen this individual to make sure you got the right person. Because any sister that have talked to me, I don't take it easy on them, but I'm going to tell them as it is. We're going to dig straight in their chest where it needs to be done, whether they like it or not, because at the end of the day, we're trying to preserve the integrity of our race. And everybody got to get in line. No one gets a free pass. You got to get in line so we can understand what it is we need to do, for the most part. So as it go on, it says that on the basis of the potential of that person's ability to aid you in the acquisition and development of power to empower the African community. Why do we say that? Because everything we do need to be plugged into the community. It needs to be plugged into the community so that the community can progress. What I mean by the community, I mean the entire African community. Our people. That's the purpose of being in a relationship, to add on to the collective empowerment of your people. You have to be about the business of trying to build something that's going to aid you in power. Oftentimes, we are with someone who can't help us at all. And I'm not saying that we're going to leech off of someone. What I'm saying is that the two individuals should be able to come together to build something that's going to empower them, and then they can take what they've built and they can add that to the overall building of the community. See, the relationship isn't separate from the community in the African context. So that's what we got to be clear about. We're not talking about what you see on TV. We're not talking about Hollywood. We're not talking about the soap operas. We're not talking about any of that stuff. Why did I get married? And none of that stuff is real. That stuff was made up inside someone's mind. That's not real. When you start thinking about why African people come together historically, we come together for power. Not acquisitions for individuals to just have stuff and things for themselves. That's not what we're saying. We're talking about power that allows us to have some influence over our lives collectively. Case in point, a lot of our children go to public schools, but we have no say-so on that. Have no say-so on what your child was being taught. You have no say-so on who teaches your child. In most of these public schools nowadays, if you get on the elementary level, it's homosexuals in there and a bunch of young white women. And we wonder why our young boys are all over the place. You see what I'm saying? Because they spend 6 or 8 hours of their day with people that's not like them. 6 or 8 hours of our young boys' day is spent around young white women who cannot understand them, or homosexual males. And instinctively, them young boys that's growing up, they see and detect something unnatural about that homosexual male. They know that he don't look like their father or uncle. They see that, and it confuses our children. And so what I'm saying, that the power we're trying to build has to be a power that allows us to speak to that, because you're impacting our future. So we need power to speak to that, because we need to be able to go in and sit down and have these discussions. And on top of that, we need to have the power to build our own schools, even if that's about homeschooling. We need to be able to do that. And the only way you can do that is to build relationships. We need men and women to come together in wholesome relationships, and then we can begin the levels that if we got 10 relationships, that's 20 people, and say each relationship only had 1 child, that gives us 30 people. But we know most of us have at least 2 children. So if we can get 10 sound, strong relationships, we already got a small community of 50 people. Right? Can you imagine what you can do with that when all of us are thinking alike and moving alike? We can get some things actually done and achieved. But we get less achieved when each of you and myself attempt to do everything individually. We get nothing done. At the end of the year, everyone is still frustrated and mad and haven't really achieved or accomplished anything. And all it takes is for the European to send you one high bill one time at the wrong time of the month, then you and your mate, y'all beefing. Because you can take it out on your mate because you can't get to him, so she gonna get it, or if she get the bill, you gonna get it. You know what I'm talking about. We experienced that. So we have to figure out ways to minimize that by selecting well. So when that cultural compatibility kick in, so you know you have someone that's not all materialistic. Right? You know you have someone that understands it's about us. Cultural compatibility. Keep that in mind. Don't ever throw that out the window. Always think about being with someone that's going to complete you. And you have to be very careful with that selection. And don't think you have to be the sole person making that choice by yourself. Use the community.
So the next one is interview. So I say it this way because you want to do that person from the inside. You know, you want to get to know him or her internally. So you're going to conduct a systematic inquiry with the assistance of a community into the thinking, ideals, principles, and aspirations of a potential partner, and trust in your intuition based on the information acquired. So you're going to do your own personal evaluation. And I have an online group on Facebook called Wake Up and Rise Up Sisters. It's a private group, and a sister posted a question in there the other day. It was like, how do you get to know a brother without it seeming like an interview? And actually it is. You're going to interview that person. You are the employer, they are the applicant. You know what it takes, or the qualifications to apply for this job, and that job being you. You know, you are the job. So you want to seek out, are they qualified? Are you qualified? And you're doing that screening process. Okay, do you have this? Are you doing this? What are your goals? What are your aspirations? You want to ask these types of questions. What did you used to do? What other questions? I asked him a ton of questions. There was no questions off limit for him or for myself. You know, being as though he just came home, and I met him in March. He came home in November 2004. I know it was a few months, and he had close to 14 years in prison. Did you have sex since you've been home? When was the last time you had it? How many people you had it with? When's the last time you've been checked? Some people think that's too invasive. No. If I'm laying with you, I need to know these things. That's right. I want to know these things. That's right. So we should be asking these types of questions. Do you have children? You know, are you involved in your children's life? How many children do you have? What is your relationship like with the mother? Because that allows me to know if I'm going to pursue this man and we have children, how he might respond to our children based on how he's treating his children that he currently has. So those are the things you have to keep in consideration. You are the employer, they are the applicant. Ask your questions. No, you don't have to sit down face to face and you sitting at the table and you like, okay, what about this? What about that? What about this? Name all your references. No, you don't have to do that. But every time you talk to this person, every time you with this person, You want to be asking your questions. You want to get to know this person. Not trying to get in his or her pants, because a lot of times we move fast with that. You want to get to know this person's mind and spirit.
That's right.
So you're doing your evaluation. You're doing your inquiring. You interviewing this person. So you also allow the community to evaluate this person. And he touched on it in selection. It's not just about you asking questions. Allow your circle, if you don't have a community, so to speak, if you don't have a culturally grounded community of people that you're studying with, you know, got some good sense, that's studying the culture and that's embarking upon its path, use your mom and your dad, if they got good sense, not just going to say anything, because some of our parents and family is going to tear us down in that conversation. Do you really want to be with her? Let me tell you about her. You know what I'm saying? Type of thing. So you want to have somebody with some good sense that you trust and sit and evaluate him or her. And it don't even have to be something that you prep this person for. Because him and I done this. You know, I allowed him to meet my family and friends at the time. And I met his family and friends, his comrades, those that was in PLM at the time. And I knew that's what he was doing, but it's not like he gave me a heads up. Listen, I'm going to have you meet my friends. They're going to ask you questions. They're going to fill you out. They're going to come back and report to me. And based on their information and my information, I'm going to decide whether or not I want to continue to pursue you. And I didn't tell him this. It was just sometimes we get those vibes. Our family get those vibes. And I'm sure all of us been in that situation where we knew our girlfriend or our homeboy was with somebody that was no good for them. And we attempted to tell them that, but they did not want to hear us. And they'd find out 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later, like, you know what, you was right. I know I was right, you should have listened. You know? But what I did was, I allowed my family to meet him, and then I went back to them, and I asked them, what are your thoughts on him? Some of them, like I remember one of my older cousins was like, I think he's good enough for you. I think he can handle you. I think he can help tame you, you know. Guess I was a little wild to her. You know, I think he can help tame you. I think y'all be good for each other. So that's what she said, because she's seen his strong spirit. She knew I had a strong spirit, and she felt like we had matched well together. I asked friends, and some of my friends, they being all modest, like, well, whatever you want, you know, do you like him? That's all that matters. Actually, that's not all that matters. Because however he treats me, it's going to affect me, and I'm going to bring that to you, or my community, or my friends. So it's not all that matters. I want to know your thoughts. But some of them didn't want to say, and for the most part, it was good stuff. It was nothing bad. I ain't hear nothing bad. And then he allowed his mother to fill me out. I knew what she was doing, you know. I'm over the house, and he might be taking extra long to come downstairs, because when I first met him, he stayed with his mom. I'm sitting downstairs with her, and she asked me all types of questions. But while she's asking me questions, I'm asking her questions. I'm doing a cross-reference. So these are his references. He's sending me to them so they can evaluate me. But at the same time, I'm getting to know them better so I can get to know him better and decide whether or not I want to stop this with this pursuing he was doing, or do I want to continue. So she'll ask me questions, I'll ask her questions. And even when I called, she used to call me the PI. She was like, you private investigator. You ask so many questions. Well, I need to know, mama. You know, but when I call and I'll be like, where he at? You know, is he home? And she was like, he's not home. He just left out. Oh, who he leave out with? You know, males, females. Where he going? What they doing? You know, I ask all them questions. And the reason being, again, he just came home. My husband used to rob stores. My husband used to sell drugs. My husband came back to the same neighborhood that he was staying in when he was doing these things. So I wanted to make sure he wasn't going back on that same track.
That's right.
Who he's hanging with? Are these the comrades that he spoke so highly of to me? Or these his old homeboys? I need to know this. You know, are they sitting out front? Or is he drinking with them? Is he smoking with them? She was like, I don't know all that. You know, and I know some of his old female friends were still in that neighborhood. You know, I know he had 3 other children besides our 2, 3 different women, and he was friends with all of these women. You know, it was no friction with none of them. And one of them still live in that neighborhood. So yes, I'm asking questions. So we was filling each other out. We was allowing our community to fill each other out, and we was doing cross references. So with the information that you receive, you want to trust in your intuition. A lot of times we feel it, we know it, We acquired information ourselves. Our family gave us some information. They conveyed some things to us, but we still want to move off our lower self. You know, we're not using our higher self. We're not using our brain. We're not using our spirit to really decide. So you got to use that to really use your discernment. Do I want to continue on with this relationship or see where this is going to go? What potential do this have? Are we going to be an aid to the community or a detriment to the community? You know, are we going to bring some toxicity to the community, constantly arguing, fighting, and so on and so forth because we are not compatible? So these are things that you really have to consider before choosing your mate.
So, yeah, the interview is very important. Most of us skip the interview. We've been conditioned to skip the interview process. So whether you want to view it as an interview or whatever, you should be about the business of asking a lot of questions. Dr. Nellie Fuller said, you know, just speaking to try to make the point that questions are very important. He said you should ask at least 200 questions. But he's just trying to give you the idea, he's trying to underscore the fact that we should be in the process of asking questions. But we come out of this society that discourages questions. So we don't ask. We don't ask, what do you think about this? What do you want to do here? You know, what's your thoughts about this? How do you feel about this? We don't ask. So we end up with a dunce a lot of times. You know, we don't want to know, what do you think about this? What's going on? You know, you gotta ask these questions so it can give you some type of idea of the mind of the individual you're going to be involved with. See, it's this mind that you have to come to understand on some basic level before you move forward. It can't be driven by lust and flesh, you know, and physical appearance and things like that. It can't be that. You have to literally ask questions. And most of the time we don't ask questions because we don't have a question to ask. We don't have a question to ask because we spent the most of our time not doing anything to develop a question. We don't read, we don't go to museums, we don't do anything that's going to really challenge our brain, you know what I'm saying? And we just slid through school, we didn't like it, we did the bare minimum, we came out. And even when we went to college, you see what I'm saying? That was a bunch of rote knowledge, we just studied just to pass the exams. When we left college, there's nothing else there. You know what I'm saying? College was getting out of college, it was free time, so we partied, we did what we did, and boom, when we went and got a job and we went on a program of just working, right? So we really don't have a thought. Most of the time. We don't have a very informed thought. So we can't really engage in anything to really determine nothing. And that's the reason why most of us been inside so many relationships. So many just fail. And we always blame the other. All our failed relationships, the other is the fault for that. Think about it. Now, I stand corrected if I'm wrong. If most of us owned up to the role we played of destroying them, I commend you. But I know when I speak to most individuals, it's always the other. He didn't do this, she didn't do this, she did this. Never realizing the role we played because we didn't play our part well. So my thing was this. I said, when I come home from prison, I said, there is no way in the world, because I needed to save 3 children that I left behind. I needed to come back and give them a clear idea what a man is, and I knew I needed to bring forth other children, and I know I needed to make them see what a man is. So I resolved that it would only be one woman. It wouldn't be me going through many women trying to get to that woman. It was only going to be one. Only one. And that's who I have. Only one. So we'll be here 10 years from today. We'll be here 20 years from today. We'll be here till we make our own physical transition. There is no point in time when we will ever break up. There is no point in time when we will ever break. And we'll get to that later inside this PowerPoint presentation why we would never break. It's crucial. It's very crucial that you follow these things we're saying. Selection and then the interview. It follows logically. Select well, then interview well. But don't do it by yourself. Don't do it by yourself. So the very next thing is you got to be clear. So it's clarity. You got to be clear. So your clarity is going to come from the work you're already doing up to the point of coming together with someone. In a traditional society, you will be in a process with many men or many women preparing you. Because in the African context, we are very children-centered and family-centered. So we was big on making sure relationships happen. So we understood that they had to be a success. So we put things in motion to ensure that all relationships were successful. And I'm not saying that you didn't have those instances where some individuals may split, but you didn't have it like it is here. See, the majority of individuals who came together in traditional society, predating any of those invasions, Islamic and European invasions, the majority of our people were together. When you start thinking about, you think about Ramses II and Nefertari, people like them, they was together. You know what I'm saying? When you think about Hatshepsut and her husbands, you know what I'm saying? Tutmos and the third, and the second, they was together until he transcended. Right? And you go on with all of, you run them all down. You know, these individuals were together, ruling together, wielding power together. Why? Because they were prepared for that. They were prepared for that. So when they entered into a selection process, they knew what they were selecting, because their selection process really wasn't theirs individually. The elder men, the elder women in the community played a part in aiding them in the process of selecting. And it was based on the family. So why would I want my son with your family if all the men in your family are freaks, but you got a good-looking daughter? So why would my son to marry into that mess? That junk gonna spill in my family. So the families interviewed. The families, so the elders did that, because the elders knew your father's father. And they knew that your father's father was a rat, betrayed the community, and his son betrayed the community, and his son betrayed the community. But now you got this good-looking daughter, so chances are if my son marrying into this over here, it's going to be problematic. So we couldn't put them together. It couldn't happen. So we didn't just get together on the basis of physicality. Other factors were considered. So families came together. We have to get back to that. So when we speak in terms of community, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about men and women, good men and women, with the aid of many men and women, helping you select someone that can help you and complement you. Because oftentimes you don't know that. You don't know who she is, and she don't know who you are. You need the wisdom of experienced individuals who can see, who have an eye, who have an ear, who have some cultural grounding, who have some political insight, who have some historical context. You need to utilize those individuals to help you in this process. And if you are in a relationship already, it's good to be plugged into these types of individuals to help you sustain that relationship, to help you get through, to help you further build that relationship out, to help you put that relationship into a proper context. Because the relationship is an entity. It's an entity that has to persist for the community, the relationship. So when we speak about clarity, understanding the nature of the relationship and what it requires and entails to develop and evolve it into a healthy and strong union capable of empowering the African community. Oftentimes we're in relationships, but we won't understand what the relationship requires to really build it. Oftentimes we're in a relationship, we don't really understand what it entails. So what I mean by what it entails, like what natural obligations are linked with relationship. Just the very concept itself, relationship, produces certain obligations. When you engage in the relationship, specific obligations are just there. You can't say, I don't want to do this, that, and other. They come with that human endeavor. They're just there. And you need to know what they are so you can execute well your responsibility within that relationship. Because once you're in it, you have a logical responsibility to behave a specific way. I will say this right here. Once in a relationship, in a society such as this, that's warring against your people, and you know that your man is on the front line, you make him have peace when he come home. That's a natural, logical responsibility. And if you're not doing that, you're not completing that man. And vice versa. If your woman is in it, you know, you make it peace. To the best of my ability, I try not to upset this lady. I'm not saying I always get that right. But to the best of my ability, I try not to upset her. And when I do upset her, sometimes my little boy ego jump in there. It might take me a day to come back and apologize. But I know I gotta come back and apologize. That's what I gotta do.
That's right.
I gotta make it right. I just can't keep walking around moping and groaning all sad and mad and not coming back to the person that's carrying my child, that's birthed my child, that's in the struggle with me. I gotta do the right thing and make it right.
Right.
It comes with the relationship. It comes with it. And you gotta do that 1,000 times. You can never get to a point and say, I'm tired of apologizing. You don't understand relationship. You can never say that. Well, I'm tired of apologizing to her. Then get out the relationship because you got it wrong, brother. Just leave right now. And let her get herself together and find somebody that understands that that's what he has to do. You gotta always make it right with your woman. Always. Why? Because they birthed our nation. That's why. The feminine principle is supreme. Not the masculine, it's the feminine. The masculine is essential for stability and balance. But the supremacy is the woman. Never forget that. And I'm not saying it in the context that she's above and she's better. I'm not saying it that way. I'm saying that we have to revere this right here. That's what I'm saying. So when you do wrong by it, apologize. That's a natural obligation. And on the flip side, you know, women got natural obligations to the relationship. Like I said, you got to be healing for your man. You got to be there for your man. You got to console your man. Because the man is the one that's on the front line. The man is under attack. It's the man that's getting constantly pulled over by police and harassed. I'm not saying it don't happen to women, but we know that in this society, we know who they fear first and foremost. The black man, we know that. Don't take a rocket scientist to understand that. So when he come home, make him feel good. If he have to travel 3 nights in a row to build something for us, don't beef about it. Let him go do the work. You should be home doing the work. That's what this is about. So that's why selection is important. Because if you select well, then you ain't gonna have that unnecessary beef. So I don't get that unnecessary beef. You see what I'm saying? I can travel and do the work because she understands. Because I selected well. She understands. This is what he has to do. I'm not choosing not to be home because I want to be out here ripping and running. I'm out here doing something for us. It sustains us. Family and community. So it's no beef. It's a point of conversation to have some clarity, but it's no beef. It's no when you return, well, why you go? Why you do? It's none of that little girl stuff. Because that's what that is. That's little girl stuff. And we have to be men and women with an African in the front. That means we are a different type of man and woman. We're unlike any other that's walking this earth. We are in fact the best when we come to realize that. But you gotta be clear, brothers. And you gotta be clear, my sisters. So with that clarity, it allows you to understand why tolerance is necessary. See, clarity births tolerance. You have to tolerate the other individual. I'm gonna tell you why. Because she is an entity and you is an entity. And those entities have to go through a struggle to become a union, and that union is not birthed overnight. It's gonna require that you tolerate some things from the other that you don't necessarily like. But if you have selected well, you know that your tolerance will pay off because you know you have the right person because you're clear enough to recognize potential. You understand what I'm saying? It starts with that selection, brothers and sisters. Then you know why and how to tolerate. Clarity allows you to be patient with your mate because sometimes we are more developed in different areas than the other within the relationship. In most cases, the woman sometimes is a little bit more emotionally developed. Not always, but in some cases. She has it together a little bit more with her emotions, right, than us men. And in some senses, we have to be able to allow her to aid us in our emotional development.
Right.
You know, clarity allows you to understand that. You know, so we're being patient with each other, and through clarity, you exercise prudence when you're making decisions because you know that. Granted, you may give a good example. most of us brothers, we have a hard time when our women are pregnant because we don't understand this process. We don't understand this metamorphosis that's taking place. We can't understand it because we've never experienced it. We can't even read 1,000 books to get that understanding. It's an impossibility. So because we don't understand this metamorphosis, this beautiful process, this co-creation that's taking place, and we don't understand how it impacts her hormones, that impacts her attitude and her different phases, her expressions and stuff like that, a lot of times we make the wrong statements at the wrong time and do the wrong things at the wrong times, right? And sometimes she may respond a particular way and we'll take it as if it's totally anti-us. See, clarity will give us prudence and we'll be able to place what she said or did in its proper context of the birthing context, and we know that, hey, that's just my lady going through a metamorphosis, going through a co-creation process. I got to be a little bit more, understanding and hug her and do what I need to do. But only being clear will allow you to do that, right? And the last thing is being discerning. See, clarity allows you to be discerning. You can discern what's real and what's not real. You can discern when she's playing and when she's not playing, or when he's playing and when he's not playing. You can make that discernment that will minimize you actually getting in some type of unnecessary argument with one another.
Clarity is real important. It aids in, like you said, minimizing the mistakes and understanding each other much better. The patience, that's so necessary, because your mate is going to make so many mistakes. You're going to make so many mistakes, and you're going to want your mate to be patient with you. It's going to be things that you don't understand about your mate at the time because they constantly evolving. You're constantly evolving. So that's where that patience come in at. And you're constantly doing your interviewing. You're constantly asking those questions to get to know what's in here, what's in there, what's in that heart, what's in that brain. Because they constantly changing. They facing so many things throughout the day. We are facing so many things throughout the day. So even with that clarity, like he said, the men that's in the struggle, that's doing that work and constantly on the road and going here, going there, and the woman at home taking care of the children, taking care of the house, and still doing her womanly work with the other women at home, he got to understand that he got to inform her of what's going on and keep her aware of what's going on. Let her know he's safe. Because that's our rules. Okay, you can travel. Let me know when. Let me know where you're leaving from, who's going with you. Let me know once you arrive. Because I need to know this as your wife. I need to know this as your comrade, that you okay, that you're safe. So that clarity, he got to be clear on that on his end as well. And like I said, that he already mentioned and touched on the tolerance, being tolerant of each other. There's so many things that I said and done in the past that I just knew he probably was going to leave, because so many men didn't know how to tolerate certain things that we bring to the table, women. We bring so many different things to the table, and we got all these different emotions going on with us. And a lot of times, like I said, we carry our baggage into our current relationship. And I just knew he was going to leave. So when he stuck around, that was an extra point for him. Oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? When I'm crying and go off and just know. And sometimes we push them. We attempt to push them out the door, so they can go. Because that's what we used to. We used to men leaving anyway. So you might as well go right along with all of the rest of them that left. So when they stick around, it's like, oh, he loves me. He really cares about me. That don't justify us acting like that. But I'm just saying, that allows us to see that he's being tolerant of our behavior while we in that process of transforming that behavior.
So we have, this one is very important, commitment. You laughing, sister? Serious and determined to make the relationship work by persevering against all obstacles and staying true to the ideals, principles, and aspirations of the relationship and its purpose to empower the African community. Say, its purpose. See, nothing that exists without a purpose. At the point of existence is the point when the purpose is born. At the point of existence. So the relationship is not without purpose. It's your duty through the selecting process with the aid of the community and being clear in the interviewing It's your duty to develop why you and that person are in relationship. Because once you link it to something bigger than you, that's going to help you to sustain what you have. Once you can link it to something bigger than you, case in point, what we have together is greater than her individually and me individually. So we are better together as opposed to being apart. What she have accomplished and what I have accomplished is as a result of the togetherness. But that's only because we understood and understand that we are linked into a purpose. That's very important, purpose. So you got to have the purpose, because through the purpose is going to keep you on task. But one of the things I like to always stress through commitment is this thing I call it a love struggle, which is a labor of love. And that goes back into what Mama Ife was speaking about when she said, it's not always going to be good. Your partner going to say things or do things that are going to set you off and things like that. And a lot of times we throw the towel in because we read the romance novels. We watch a lot of TV. We watch a lot of movies. We watch a lot of them cable channels with the different stuff, and where everything is, the music is always in the back, and the stars and everything work well. So we come into this situation, right? And we want it to be that way, not realizing that's TV, that's Hollywood, that's made up. So you don't understand how to appreciate the labor of love. The labor of love is so important because that is what actually births love. See, the love actually develops later in the relationship. So you could be in that relationship for several years, and that's not love. That's infatuation. That's all that other stuff, that feel-good stuff, right? See, love is the understanding of your responsibility to the other individual and the obligations that you must fulfill. That's the love. That's the love. And you don't get that. When you see her at the movie theater, you don't get that because you came to this lecture and y'all got googly-eyed, and went out tonight. You don't get it like that, You have to go through this struggle together, and it's how you emerge out of the struggle and what that struggle shapes that births the nature of your love. See, love isn't what Plato told you about, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what most of us got. See, most of us got what the Greeks came up with and have been pushed down. You know what I'm saying? So you got what you go through school and what they give you in school and the romance and all that. That's not the African way. See, the African way is the man and woman coming together and engaging in this struggle process to build something. And it's how you work together. It's how you come to appreciate one another. It's how you come to cherish and revere one another. You know what I'm saying? I revere Ife. And I'm going to back up for a minute. And she was speaking about our routine. And I don't always get that correct about the informing piece. 11 years in, I don't always get that correct. And I'm sharing it to let you know that this process, this relationship thing, is not something you build overnight. That's why the commitment is important. So granted, she said that she may felt like it was times when I probably would have, left her. And it's the same thing on my end. It could have been like, wow, man, you didn't get this right, you didn't get this right. She could have dipped or whatever. But we had to be committed. We had to be truly, truly committed. That's what you have to be. And your commitment comes from being in it, using the people around you, using what you feel, not suppressing what you feel, right? Relying on responsible individuals to help you to make an accurate assessment of your situation, an accurate assessment of the partner's potential, because no one should be with someone who can't complete them, who can't aid on, who can't help. No one should be. But I believe everyone has someone out here fit for them, though. You just have to find the one that's fit for you, brother or sister. It got to be somebody that you can do this with. And it's not going to come together this easy, but you can make this happen. You can make this happen. So your love struggle is what it is. It's not the constant arguing, right? Because arguing brings in an unhealthy relationship. Now, I'm not saying you can't disagree. So you can have disagreements and you can disagree a lot. But when she gets the yipping and yelling, you get the yipping and yelling, and you get to saying things that are unhealthy to the other person's spirit, you are damaging the relationship. That's not what I'm talking about when I say the love struggle. That shouldn't be in the relationship. The love struggle is the challenge of taking two and creating one. That's the love struggle. Taking you and her and giving birth to a union. The union is a new entity. That's the love struggle, because that will not happen in the first 5 years. It will not happen in your first 5 years. That's the reason why Ife and I wanted to do this relationship thing for a while. But I pretty much prolonged it. Because in my mind, I felt that the 10-year mark is the true task, the true test. Get the 10 years. Get 10 years in together. Right? That's your love struggle. That's commitment. So that's commitment. Because that 10 years is going to be a very adventurous journey. It's not going to be boring. It's going to be very adventurous, enlightening, fun. It's going to be the roller coaster. You're going to go up, you're going to go down, you're going to go around, you're going to go in, you're going to go out. But you know what? You're going to learn that other individual. You're going to know that other individual. And you're going to know him or her well. So no one will be able to come to me and say, well, you know, I saw Ife doing this, that, and other. He or she is lying. No one can come to her and tell her certain things about me, because only she knows certain things about me. All right? There are things that I just will not do. She said, well, you just stubborn, you know. There are things I will not do. So we know that. So no one can come there and say he did this, because she knows in 10 years he haven't done that. And I stand on it like a rock on a concrete somewhere. You can't move me. So no, he didn't do that. No, he didn't do that. I ain't moved him in 11 years on that one there, you know. But that's why you have to be in that love struggle together. And it's not about you imposing on her or her trying to impose upon you. It's about the two of you working together consistently, very diligently, and being open and honest with each other and going through whatever obstacles crop up. Y'all go through those obstacles together. Whatever it is, and not lashing out at her or at him. Don't get upset at him if the European take his job, because that's the European's job. The European can take it when he want to take it. That's his. Don't beat that brother up when he come home and say he lost his job. Damn, what you do? You know the mortgage is due. I don't need to hear that. I don't need to hear that. So what? You know what I'm saying? We're going to get through this together, the love struggle. The European took his job back, so what? Let's rock and roll. Let's figure this out. Aren't we in this together? So let's figure something out. This is what we're going to do. That's what it comes down to. And vice versa. You know, he can't get all upset at her, you know what I'm saying, when she want the domain to look a certain way. Because she spent the majority of the time in the domain, it should look a certain way. That's the love struggle. I'm here the most, so why can't this domain look the way that I wanted to look? Shut up, brother. I'm just saying, that's what this is about. It's not about you trying to be so stubborn and so hard. You got to be realistic about this thing, and you got to exercise, like I said, some type of prudence. If she spends the most time in the domain, why can't the domain look the way she wants the domain to look? Let her have that. It's just that simple. That's a beef you shouldn't be beefing about. So the idea is to minimize the conflict between you and your mate, because the more that y'all conflict, the less y'all going to be building. The conflicts have to go. Disagree respectfully. But the more you evolve and develop as human beings, it's going to minimize your conflicts. So we conflict so much because we lack the intellect to resolve our issues with intellect. It's the same reason why we use a bunch of profanity. We don't have the words to substitute them out. It's the same thing. So we argue all the time because I don't know how to really address this a better way. I'm not evolved yet in that area. So that's the reason why, while in a relationship, it should be an educational, developmental piece attached to it. Each relationship is its own society, and within that society, you should have your own archives, which is your library. That's right. So I can go into your home if you're in a relationship and tell you where you are at within your relationship when I don't see a library within your house. And I'm going to tell you why you argue so much. Trust me. And then when I look and see if you have a computer, I'm going to see what type of programs on your computer. And I'm going to tell you why you always yipping and yelling and arguing. And if you got any DVDs, I'm going to see what kind of movies you watch. I'm going to tell you why you're yipping and you're yelling. And if you have CDs, I'm going to listen to that. And I'm going to tell you why you're yipping and you're yelling all the time. Because you don't have anything developmental in your home. So how are you going to develop? Your home is your temple. It's your university. That's the primary institution for your child, the family. That's the first institution. So how can you develop it if nothing developmental is within it? That's the mistake that we make. And then if you got books in there, I'm gonna rub my hand across the top of it and see how much dust is on it. If dust is on my fingers, you're not reading your books. You're collecting them for no reason. And you wonder why you argue so much? You wonder why you haven't produced anything? You wonder why you're still afraid? You wonder why you're scared to be open to that person? Because you'll stop growing. So your fear, it can only exist from ignorance. That's it. Knowledge don't birth fear. Knowledge builds you. It gives you confidence. So when you are afraid to open up in a relationship, that's because you're ignorant. That's because you're not growing, you're not evolving. Something is still underdeveloped within you. That's why you can't commit. Fear. It immobilizes and paralyzes whoever possesses it. You will never move when you walk around with fear inside you. And this, my last point before I let my sister get on this right here, and this is specific to the men. All men should be in a relationship. And if you're not in a relationship, brother, we need to sit down, we need to talk and try to figure out why you're not in a relationship. And we need to start moving towards that. I'm tired of single brothers walking around talking about being in the movement and wanting to be in the movement. Man, get in a relationship and build a family. Then I know you're serious about nation building. See, I'm tired of all the regurgitating. It makes no difference. I'm tired of all the lectures we do. You know what I'm saying? Let's do some real work. Build a functional, operational family. And until you have done that, stay a student and learn. But be honest with yourself. I know we got the fear because you can smell fear. I was a shark before. I went to prison for armed robbery. I'm not trying to glorify, I'm trying to tell you my mentality. I can smell fear, I see it, and I sense it. So I know when I'm talking to a brother that got fear in him. Always, it never fails me. I don't condemn you for having your fear, but you got to get rid of your fear, my brothers. You got to commit. You got to find you a strong sister. You got to select well. You got to interview well. You got to become clear, and you got to commit. We need families. Right. There's not going to be any nation building without families. So the brothers that are in relationship, solidify. You know, if you're uncertain, if you're unsure, you know, talk to me, Ife and myself, and we got other babas and mamas around that's strong, that can talk to you, to help you to look at some things. If some things you need to discuss with your mate, we can do that. We gotta build families, black man and black woman. We are being wiped out. We gotta build these families. So follow me on this one, right? Commitment is important, and commitment is a spiritual principle. People spiritually inclined understand what commitment is all about. They can commit because their soul and their spirit is attuned. And you can't become attuned to anything you do not know.
We talk about nation building. We talk about African sovereignty and African unity, as my husband already mentioned. But we're not committing to each other. You know, we say we want a relationship. A lot of sisters say we want a good man, and a brother say, ain't no good sisters out here. I need a good sister, a good African-centered sister. I see that on Facebook a lot, you know, single brothers. You know, where the African-centered sisters at? Where they at? I can't find them. A lot of us can't even commit to a hairstyle. A lot of us can't even commit to where we want to stay. We constantly moving around and bouncing around. You know, so it's like we got to really look at our behavior. And as he already spoke on, we quick to blame the other and we not looking at ourselves. So yes, do that interview with that other person, but constantly assess yourself. What am I doing to contribute to these relationships not working out right? Is it me and my lack of commitment? Is it me bringing in my baggage and they ain't trying to clear out my nonsense? You know, and I'm bringing this into the relationship. So when I first met him, I was serious. I said in my head, I was looking through my journal real quick. I was looking through my journal, and I used to always, and I still do, I write down my goals, and I always write a prayer, in addition to whatever I'm feeling or whatever transpired that day. And I was praying months before meeting him, you know, I'm looking for Mr. Right. I'm looking for the right man. I'm looking for the right man. I even wrote a list of the type of man I wanted, you know, and then he comes along. I already had in my head, when I meet a man that I was vibing with, we going all the way. We are going all the way. Ain't no break up and make up and break up and make up and all that other stuff that a lot of us do or we used to doing. I said we going all the way and we taking it whether or not we say the vows or not, and we never did. You know, we not legally married, but we married. You know, whether or not we say the vows or not, we going all the way. And I'm serious about this. So I was committed to that, and he was committed to it. And I told him, I said, listen, if we're going to be in this relationship, you are my king, I am your queen. You are my husband, I am your wife. I'm with that. I'm with that 100%. He already came with the African understanding. I'm just open to spirit. I'm just allowing my spirit to guide me. And it was just certain things I was just feeling real strongly about. And I said, we are going all the way, and I'm committed. Regardless, whatever obstacles, whatever problems arise, I'm riding this out with you. As long as you don't do nothing crazy, like put your hands on me, because one of us going to die. You know, as long as you don't, that's real talk. You know, both of us wouldn't be sitting here. As long as I'm not dealing with that whole infidelity stuff, I'm not dealing with that. Oh, it was a mistake. How do you make a mistake and do that? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I'm committed. So whatever physical problems you go through, emotional problems you go through, financial problems you go through, I'm here. I'm not leaving. You know, and it was vice versa. Because our finances went up and down. You know, our emotions went up and down. It's a roller coaster. So you constantly going through stuff, and whatever life throws at you, you got to know how to take it, you know, and stand on it and throw it right back out and stand proud. It was times that we didn't have it, our furnace was all messed up in the house, and we didn't have no heat. I'm walking around with a coat on, a hat on. You know, I quit my job in 2007, met him in 2005. I quit my job in July 2007. He quit his job in like September or November 2007. I'm like, what are you doing? We can't both quit our job. We got a mortgage, you know, but I knew he was determined. I knew he was serious. I knew he was resilient, resourceful, as well as I. And we made it work. We was hustling. We was out there hacking. We was out there selling clothes. We out there doing all types of stuff together because we in this together. I'm committed. It's not, oh, I'm leaving him because he don't got enough money to do X, Y, Z. Oh, no, we're going to find out how to make this money together. You know what I'm saying? We in this together. So that's how you got to be serious about commitment. And, you know, and you got to know that stuff is going to change. If your man or your lady is making 6 figures right now, that ain't going to always be the case. You know, if your man or your lady is in real good health right now, that's not going to always be the case. And you got to be with it. You got to take the blows on the toes. So the next one is spirit. Relying upon and intuiting your creative energy force in conjunction with the divine creative force to attune you to your partner and guide your decisions. I chose this one right here because spirit is real necessary in our life. It's indispensable. You know, it's necessary for us to live and be here right now. You need spirit and you need matter. A lot of times we don't identify or we don't acknowledge spirit, but it's there. It's always there. It never leaves us. So whether you're in a relationship or not, you should be acknowledging spirit. You should be showing your gratitude. You should be praying. You should be talking to spirit. Whether you call the spirit Netter, Oludumare, or whatever you call that spirit, or you just calling on one of the ancestors or some of the ancestors. But acknowledge that spirit, that energy that's permeating through you and through all of us. And never forget that it's there. Whenever you need it, whatever troubles you're going through, whatever your obstacles, whatever your confusion is, you can ask Spirit to assist you and you will receive your answer. You may not receive it instantaneously, but it will come. It may come that next day, it may come a couple days later, but it will come. So acknowledge Spirit and get in tune with Spirit, because our duty here on this earth is to be that vehicle for Spirit and to behave and speak divinely. That's our duty. So if you're really in tune to Spirit, which I feel like I am and he is and we was, you know, if you're really in tune to Spirit, you're going to bring that into your relationship. You know, you're going to allow it to manifest itself. Whatever you're speaking, whatever you're thinking, it's going to manifest itself, because Spirit is within you. You are that supreme being that you're calling on. It's within you. You're not looking up to it. It's in you, and everybody sitting here in this room. So you got to know this, and you got to speak this. And a lot of times we speak things that we don't want to happen, or we speak things that we're worried about, or we're afraid of, and that's what we're manifesting. That's what we're bringing into our life. You know, we're afraid somebody's going to rob us, or we're afraid somebody's going to cheat on us, or we're afraid of these different things, and we bring this into our life. Or we speak these things. Whether or not we're thinking it, we're speaking it, and we bring it into our life. We're manifesting it because the power lies within you. So ladies, stop saying all men are dogs. There's no good men out here. And brothers, stop saying there's no good sisters out here. You know, sisters ain't nothing but whatever it is you say to finish that sentence. You know, stop saying that. Say the opposite. Whatever it is that you want to bring into your life, that's what you speak on. So you can manifest that, because you have that power. So you use that Spirit to guide your union. So when you come into your union, it's not me and my husband and that's it. It's me, him, and Spirit. You know, me, him, and Spirit. I have my own meditation time, my own praying time, my own time writing and pouring libation. He has his time, and we have our time as a family. Every day we pour in libation as a family. Me, him, and our little one. We pour in libation. Every day we saying prayer as a family. You know, when we need to call on Spirit, we calling on Spirit as a family, as well as individually. So you have your own personal relationship with Spirit, and then you bring that into your union, and y'all have your joint relationship with Spirit. Never forget Spirit, because the same way Spirit guides you to get to where you are or where you was before you met your mate, getting your degree, getting your master's, getting your home, or getting whatever it is that you wanted to acquire, you're going to need that Spirit when y'all go through your trials and tribulations. You're gonna need it. And a lot of times, because we're not tapping into that Spirit, we quick to give up on each other. We lack that commitment. We lack that clarity. You know, so remember that Spirit and bring Spirit into your union.
Spirit is important. It is. You know, and for those who might identify with a different terminology, when we say Spirit, we're just talking about, you know, whatever you refer to as a higher power. You know, we want this to be clear for everyone. So from the African context, we may say Oludumare, something to that degree, but we wanted to really be clear that the human being is, in fact, a divine being. So the human being is divinity, but divinity has to be tapped into and developed and evolved, right? So, having said that, since we are divine by nature, it's only right that whatever we do it in conjunction with divinity. That's Spirit. That's going to ensure the success of it. So that's the reason why in our traditional societies, we didn't go to war without consulting, you know what I'm saying, diviner or something like that. We didn't just got mad and say, oh, I'm going to go out and go to war, because it may not be meant for you to go to war at this particular time. Right. You know, everything operates in alignment, and you have to be plugged into the spiritual realm to fully understand what's taking place in the physical realm, because Spirit births this here. The unseen gives birth to the seen. That's the way in the African world. So even having children, you divine, you consulted the spiritual people to get a better understanding if it's the timing right, so on and so forth. That's what this was about. So when you building a relationship, You have to have some type of knowledge and understanding of spirit. And if you don't, you need to begin to develop that on some level, whatever it is. Since you are African people, I'm not going to direct you to anything I think is fine. So my suggestions for African people is going to be to come close into the African culture, to come to the African way, our traditional ways. That's what I would suggest. Come to understand whether it's from a Kemetic standpoint or West Africa, whatever it may be, right? But for me, I think that we should move toward a unified field of spirituality, meaning we should be able to extract from the African soil all the spiritual principles that have allowed the African people to persist, progress, and be as successful as we have been since we've been in the world, right? There are basic principles that we have adhered to throughout time that allowed us to be so successful. And we need to get back to that. So if we are going to build some type of sustaining relationship, something strong, something good, it has to have spirit within it. Ma'at has to be there. And we know what those basic 7 principles are. So let's just say a few of them. You guys reciprocity. It should be there. Whatever she do for me, I should do for her. That's reciprocity, right? And in fact, my entire focus should be doing for her, and her entire focus should be doing for me, and that's going to produce a balance. It should just work that way. Because once you get it moving like that, you're going to have what? The circle of life is going to be moving like this right here. So that's how we should be getting it in. You know, and I should always do justice by her, and she should always do justice by me. Right? So when you have that in place operationally within relationship, you have brought spirit there. That's right. And as long as you follow those principles and act according to those principles, spirit remains. Spirit becomes the adhesive stuff necessary to cement the relationship. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying we're trying to take two entities and cement the two into one to birth something else. It's going to take some really, really strong stuff, adhesive stuff to do that. Spirit is the only adhesive stuff that can do it. Spirit has to be present in the relationship.
Intimacy, the process by which mates equally expose themselves to one another and equally allow one another to explore themselves. True intimacy is an enriching experience shared between complementary partners where they each are equally vulnerable yet secured and safe. So I want to first highlight that romance is not intimacy. You know, as he already spoke on, we got these romance novels, we got these TV, you know, everything is Europeanized. You know, so whatever we watching, whatever we listen to, even these music videos, how they doing things. A lot of us even say we want our knight in shining armor, you know, coming and saving us and bringing the roses and coming on a horse, and we just really dreaming, you know, about all this other stuff. That's not intimacy, you know. So intimacy is getting close and getting to know that person. And that do take place with the whole interviewing process. So you're going to be talking to this person, you're going to spend time with this person, but that don't necessarily mean kissing and touching, you know, fondling and sex. It don't necessarily mean that. I want to get to know your mind and your spirit. And when I highlight romance, I'm not saying that your man or your lady cannot do nothing nice and caring and thoughtful for you. You know, I'm not saying that I don't cook a meal for my husband and make sure he got a meal every time he come home every night. Even though sometimes he still eat out. But I cook, you know, every night for my king, make sure he got a nice healthy meal. You know, that don't mean that he don't open the door for me every morning when he walk me to the car. You know, and things of that nature. Or meet me at the front door when he know I'm on my way home late at night. I'm not saying we can't do gentleman-like things or women-like things for our mate. We got certain roles to play. But I'm saying when we romanticizing how a relationship's supposed to be, and saying that's intimacy, and that's not what it is. So we got to be clear on what intimacy is and allow ourselves to be close to one another without necessarily having intercourse. All we want to, first of all, we're in a sexualized society. You can't look nowhere without seeing it or thinking it. You know, you looking at commercials, they half naked. They selling things in, you know, bikinis and things of that nature. Like, why she couldn't get clothes on and just sell that gum? Like, why she have to be half naked? I don't understand that. You know, so everywhere you look, we have naked, we kiss, and we all over each other. That's why we're so particular about what our son watch, where he go, who he's around, and things of that nature, because we are over-sexualized. And because of us being over-sexualized, everything is sex, 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 and more sex. So we think about it and we want it. When we see this person and we physically attracted to this person, our next step is, I want to get in the bed with this person. You know, and we ain't even go through our interviewing process. We ain't even go through our proper selection. But here we are, we want to make sure they good in the bed. You know, because a lot of us, I hear women say, I want to make sure he right. I don't want to just choose anybody. They ain't doing what he's supposed to be doing in the bedroom. Well, sis, you doing it in the reverse. Right. You know, you wanna scope him out in other areas first, because whatever he's weak in, you can teach him, you can show him, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Vice versa. So you shouldn't put so much emphasis on the intercourse. Him and I, we waited months. You know, it wasn't like we sat down with a group of people as PLM do now and tell people, oh, you should wait this amount of time before. Nobody told us this. This is just something I decided to do, and I brought to him, and I said, listen, we're going to wait 3 months. Then he want to slap another 2 months on it. I thought I was disciplined. You are extremely disciplined. You know, but I came to him and I had the idea, like I said, I already knew I was going to be committed to this person, and I knew I wanted to do things differently. You know, I knew I did not want to rush into having intercourse with this person. I wanted to slow our roll. And then it also proved to me how much he was into me. You know, is he willing to wait? Is he willing to get to know me? You know, and in that process, no, we wasn't trying to seduce each other and see who was going to be weak and who was going to give in. And then we wasn't trying to do that, you know, and then sit up there and say, oh, I knew you couldn't do it. You know, it was none of that. We respected the process, and we were serious about the process, and we was committed to the process. Because we both knew and understood that sex is sacred. It's sacred. You know, we got 7 major chakras. And our second chakra is called our sacral chakra. You know, our second chakra. Our bone down there, our tailbone, that's our sacrum. You know, sex is sacred. You know, you are exchanging energies when you lay down with that person.
That's right.
Everybody he laid with, I'm now laying with when I lay down with him, and vice versa. So we should not be so quick to want to get in the bed with that person. You know, we should respect and revere our temple and our mate's temple, and use that time to really get to know that person and get to know yourself and build up your discipline. Because if you so preoccupied with sex, it's a good chance you might cheat. You know, if this person don't give you enough when you feel like you need it. You know, when you're desiring it, because you're lacking in discipline. So now when he say no to me, I'm looking at other brothers, or vice versa, because I'm lacking in discipline. Because sex is so important to me. You know, it shouldn't be that way. It's very sacred.
Intimacy. One of the words ahead that I want to pinpoint is being vulnerable. I know a lot of us misunderstand the word and we don't like to use it. We think it's a bad word. But vulnerability is an excellent word, because you have to be vulnerable to get to know each other. You have to be open, and human beings is meant and designed for us to be together. So it's not about thinking that if you're vulnerable, you're in a bad place. You know what I'm saying? That's how Europeans got us thinking. We think I'm in a bad place because I'm vulnerable, so everything inside of me got to fight against being vulnerable. You know? No. See, the idea for us being here in this world, the idea is for us to become the highest that we can be. And you can't become your highest if you are afraid of being vulnerable, because you have to be vulnerable to evolve. It takes vulnerability to evolve. So that's why intimacy is linked to it. That's why it says vulnerable, yet secured and safe. Because just because you're vulnerable doesn't mean that you're not in a safe and secure place. See, I can be a vulnerable man, but yet I'm still secure in my manhood. That's what we got to come to understand. And that's what this whole struggle thing is about. This whole thing about us in the movement, it's about taking back and retrieving for us who and what we truly are. Right. And not trying to define our way with European concepts and words. So we get tripped up a lot in their words. But I submit to you tonight that if you are in relationship, there is nothing wrong with being vulnerable with the person who you feel that you are linked with and you're going to be rocking and rolling with. When the two of you are vulnerable, something else unique and great emerges out of that vulnerability. So we don't need all of this aggressive, hard stuff because that's not African manhood. That's not African manhood. When you think about Malcolm, the first thing it says, Malcolm was gentle. But he was a warrior when he was out in the streets. He had to be. But his wife said he was a gentle husband in the house with his daughters. And that's with any one of them. It's nothing wrong with it. We have to be vulnerable when it comes to our partner. It's not always about being all locked in and shielded all up and afraid. But the fear comes in. Why? Because we think that he or she is going to molest us in some shape, form, or fashion. So we keep them out. So no true growth can take place because you can't become one if he or she is not allowed in. It can't happen. So you'll drag it on for years, but it's broken. You're dragging on brokenness for years until one of you just realize that, hey, it's time to move on. Because you know it's no true connection because you never let him in, or she never let you in, or you never let her in. So you know that we're not connected. She not in. She don't know I did this or did that. You know what I'm saying? She don't know my true weaknesses because I think she's going to take advantage of me. I think she's going to run off of me. I think that she's going to dip out on this thing. I think he's going to cheat on me because I was cheated on before and before and before, so he will do the same thing. So we only end the relationship because we still trying to meet our sexual desires, but we're not really committing to anything because we're afraid to experience true intimacy. I am not going to truly disclose to you who I am, and I'm most definitely not going to allow you to explore who I am. So nothing can be built for real. So you haven't built anything in your last 5 years. You just misuse each other's time. Give me an amen in here, y'all.
He took us to church.
Hood church. But anyway, so that's about what we pretty much wanted to. We really wanted to conclude with intimacy. And we wanted this presentation. We started a little late, so we was moving through it pretty fast. We didn't want to see a bunch of people getting up and leaving because it's kind of late. So we moved through it kind of fast. But we want to conclude like on intimacy. And the idea of our presentation was to focus on how to build it. You know, how to build the things that we know that actually works. Like this is what we're telling you, all this is practical stuff. This is real stuff. We didn't get this from no Dr. Seuss book. You know, we didn't sit down and read no textbook to come up with this fire. We understood that this would have to happen. We had to do this. It had to be a great selection. It had to be a great interview. I think our first month or so, we was going in. I mean, like hours on hours, like all type of questions. What about this? Everything. What do you eat? What do you eat? I don't eat this. I don't do this. Everything. So by the time we was to the point where as though we felt like we wanted to move forward and pursue something, we understood and knew a whole lot about one another. The only thing that was left is to really go through the love struggle, to iron other things out, to come to learn the unforeseen things that you can't always reveal. So you can't always reveal to your mate how you're going to respond when you lose that job. You just got to see that. So those are the unforeseen things that comes in with the love, the struggle of love. So that's all we had to do. So you got to go through the selection, the interview. You got to deal with becoming clear. You know, you got to have spirit present. You know, intimacy, very important. Don't confuse sex with intimacy. And a lot of times we do that. Oh, we ain't been intimate yet, you know. You ain't been intimate yet. What have I been doing? No, man, no, Bobby, we had sex shit. I didn't ask you that you have sex. You mean to tell me y'all haven't been conversing and opening up with each other? You haven't been exploring on the inside? And you want to build? No, you're going at it all wrong. Delve inside him. And you know, delve inside her. But go into her through her mind. See, she bust out laughing, right? You know why she bust out laughing? But it's okay, you know what I'm saying? Because her mind was somewhere else. But we all adults here, so that's okay, you know what I'm saying? But that's the empty. So these are some things we think that you should just remember. I think you can use these things, right? Don't rush it. Be honest with yourself. Don't force it. Don't compare him or her to a previous partner. And we do that too much. Don't compare him or her to a previous partner. He is not like him and she is not like her. You know, the only difference is both of them been dipped in the batch of oppression. That's it. That's the only thing that's similar. They both been dipped by their feet in oppression and brought out. You know what I'm saying? So the only thing you see is oppression dripping off of them. You know what I'm saying? That's on you too. But do not lie to him or her. Don't do all that lying up front. Don't build this thing on the lies.
Right.
You know, do not make false accusations against him or her. That destroys character. Don't keep accusing her. Don't keep accusing him. You're not going to get anything built that way. Be prepared to do a great deal of work. A lot of us are not prepared to do the work because we watch too much TV and we think this thing is going to roll out. You got to work for this. You got to work for this. I know she talked about how persistent I was, but that wasn't easy. I had to do some work. You know, I had to be on that phone like putting some work in. You know, sweating. Sometimes I was sweating on the other end of that phone. You know what I'm saying? My little nap, like, wow. You know, I had to put that work, and it hasn't stopped. 11 years, it hasn't stopped, right? But that's the beauty of it. Because I'm struggling with someone I love, right? And the love intensifies with the struggle. This struggle here is synonymous with love. We are better and greater as a result of the struggle. And me not running out on her and she not running out on me. We have never had a moment when she was like, get your stuff and get out. Or go down on none of that old stuff, you know what I'm saying, that people get. None of that old me pack, you know what I'm saying, and leaving for good and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? None of that stuff. There was one instance about in 2006 when I left for a day or two. You know, something like that, about a day or two. She came over there, her little car, like, I'm not having that, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going for that. You know, yeah, get back over here. You know? And I did what I was supposed to do, you know what I'm saying? I manned up and went home.
Don't leave out the fact. Because he wasn't technically living there, but in my head he was living there. You know how we be ladies. They stay a few nights, they leave their toothbrush and a few things. You live here. You know, so live here. Okay, what you say? Okay, where your mail go? You know what I'm saying? He was still staying with his mother, you know, and he had the key, he can come and go, he'd stay weeks. He'd stay weeks. And then whenever he felt like it, to let me know he don't live with me, he'd go stay with his mother. And that's what he did. He went with his mother. I packed up all his DVDs. I packed up his deodorant and his toothbrush. I came to his mother's house. I said, listen, if you're going to leave, take everything. And this is it. Or you come back and we continue to struggle together. But I'm not dealing with this. We're not going to be going back and forth. Whenever you feel like it, just run to your mother's house. We're not doing that. You know, so I made that very clear. And you see where he at.
You got to man up. That's what it comes down to. You just got to man up and do the right thing. Like I said, I was in 2006. You know, we're in 2016. You know what I'm saying? But it's about being honest. You know, let you know, like, that's why I say you got to be prepared to do a great deal of work. You have to be. You know, you got to be serious and you got to be ready. That's what it's about. It's not about just saying I want to have some sex. And a lot of times that's what we're doing. We live in this type of society. Everything is sexualized. So we trying to do a booty call, whatever you want to call it. We trying to do that, get in and get out. No, you got to be serious on both sides. She got to be serious and you have to be serious. Don't be trying to play with his feelings. Don't be trying to play with her feelings. And don't string anybody along. If you know you're not trying to commit, you know you don't have any plans of committing, get out the situation. Until you're ready, just get out the situation. Because people can respect honesty. They can't respect lies and deceit. Because a lot of times we know we're not going to commit. We just string someone along. People can't respect that. They can respect your honesty. I can't beef with your honesty. I can just accept it. Okay, I get that. You be all right, cool. You know? And that's what we got to learn how to do. So be serious and be ready. Don't compare your relationship to TV or romance novels. Get that out your head. You know what I'm saying? Reading all that Sister Soldier. Well, Sister Soldier's in the struggle. I'm going to read her novels. And then you're going to compare what she's talking about, this over here. You know what I'm saying? You want to read the, what was the joint? With Midnight in it. Which one that was? Who had her book? The Code. You know what I'm saying? You reading that and you think about, he ain't kind of like Midnight. You know what I'm saying? And fuck that, he ain't Midnight. You know what I'm saying? You know? It may not be a good example, but we're using that though. That's what we're using. I talk to many people using that. We're reading Dutch. We're reading that stuff. Trust me. I know firsthand. That's the stuff we're reading. That's our resources. That's our reference. Because your information is going to come from what you put in. It's going to come from what you see and what you constantly put in. Right? And what you put in informs this thing that we call the mind. And that's what you give out. Your speech and your behavior is informed by what you put in. And that's what we are reading and we're watching that stuff. You know, you read Steve Harvey, how to think like a man. He don't know how to think like a man. He's not on the struggle. He's not in the struggle. He don't know how to think like a man, an African man. He's something. And I'm saying it on camera, yeah. And he got a whole bunch of money. But we need African warriors. It's a difference. So that's why I say what I say. We need the ones that's going to stand up in the struggle and fight this oppressor. Not the ones who are going to lie with the oppressor. The ones who are going to fight this oppressor. That has to be the motto of the man we talking about, a Marcus Garvey, a Malcolm X. That's what we talking about. Even the Frederick Douglass. Say what you want, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, at a certain point in his life, he went to the other side and he chose Becky, right? But before he chose Becky, Frederick was out there fighting for us. He was rumbling. And that's what this is about. You know, Patrice Lumumba. Men that stood up against the oppressor. Those are the models of African manhood that we speak of. So if you want to understand what African man is, you read their stories. Those are the stories you read. Don't be stubborn. Don't be stubborn. If you know you're wrong, you're wrong. Don't be so stubborn. Don't always feel like you know. Don't drag this patriarchal mentality into the relationship. And us men have a tendency to do that. That is the truth. We'll pull this crap up in here in a minute and try to assert the fact that we men, and it should be our way. It should not be your way. It should be the best way of the union. Not your way. And for those men that are in leadership or aspire for leadership, your greatest and your best advisor is your wife. And if you don't know that, you don't know anything. There are tons of decisions that I wanted to make one way. And all she had to do is say, no. You know what I'm saying? I attempt to go back and forth, but at the end, I want her way.
Most of the time.
Listen to your woman, man. Admit when you're wrong and apologize sincerely. Seek wisdom from successful complementary couples. Do you understand? That's the most important thing. Don't try to do this all by yourself. Seek wisdom from those who have been doing it longer, successfully. Right? Seek wisdom. Have enough sense to utilize what's good from what they tell you. Implement it within your union, within your relationship. Allow your relationship to evolve daily, to get better. But don't ever just say, this is us, this is ours. We're going to do what we want to do. Why are you calling them in? No, I want to go talk to them. Why we got to go sit down? That's the European mentality. See, that's the childishness in us. Because African men aren't childish. They never had a problem with being in front of a council. They never had that. We never showed the responsibility of sitting in council. African men didn't. We wasn't afraid of accountability, so why are we afraid to sit down now with folk that's doing this thing successfully now to aid us in our process so we can be successful? Because that's the European slipping in you. And I'm telling you that, sisters and brothers. So if you have someone that's afraid, who fight you when it comes to being in council, know that in that instance, that's the white man talking through him, or that's the white woman talking through her. I don't care how they try to make you think they all black and all African. If they're afraid of that, I tell you that's the European in them. And that is the truth. Because I'm not going to run for no sincere counsel. Make no mistake about that. I'm not running from it. I'm not going to shirk it. If Baba, when I speak to Baba Waluba Rudy, and you know, I say some things to him, and he come back, that's what it is. When I reach out to Baba over to Shaka, you know, when he say some things, that's what it is. You know, the last situation we had, I reached out to the elders, they gave away, and that's what it was. I'm not afraid of counsel. I'm not afraid of sitting down, talking to people that truly matters, that can really help and aid me at being successful at doing what I'm doing. And that's what we have to be able to do within our relationships. So with that, I would say thank you for attending. And then,
I say thank you as well.
you was an excellent artist. We appreciate your time, and hopefully we didn't take too much of your time, because now it is 9:30. But a lot of what we spoke about, you know, we have DVDs back then. We want to purchase DVDs. I have 2 DVDs to deal with relationships. Mama got some DVDs and anything that's on womanhood to help you become more empowered and things like that. She's one of the go-to persons, you know, in her age field to be as young and as wise as she is. If you're trying to get more information and more knowledge about how to become a more empowered African woman, get with Mama Ife. If you're trying to get down, being a stronger African man, African brother, I'm here to help you. But I'm gonna tell you up front, I'm not cutting no corners with you. I'm coming at your chest, but I'm coming at your chest with love, because we don't have time to play no games. We need our men to stand up and be warriors. That's what we need, you know what I'm saying? I know how to make warriors.
My political, economic, and social philosophy is black national.
You can't be living in these days and times and can't see it. The community's been taken captive. We gotta free it.